season finale of Live with Lamar. I'm going in. I dropped my phone. See how excited I am? I'm
excited.
Ready. This is the season finale. It's been a long time coming. You were supposed to be on the show 20 years ago.
Facts.
And you finally here though. You know, you're a busy woman and you stay out in the streets.
Oh wait, that doesn't sound that great. Can we revise that?
I be in the streets, but she happened to be there on the side of me sometimes. Sometimes you be there, not all the time, not like me. But you be there, you know what I mean?
Listen, I'm outside.
Listen, you was just in the streets for Halloween.
I sure was.
You were. What did you dress up for Halloween this year?
So I told myself, first of all, Amazon's my best friend. Thank you, Amazon, for coming through with all the stuff I randomly ordered the last minute.
Listen, Party City, Halloween, all the Spirit, Target, listen, Ross, wherever.
Listen, I got so much stuff home that I didn't use. I got to send back. But
get that money back, refund.
Right, that part. But I randomly threw together like 3 costumes. One of them was Maleficent. I wanted to be here for a while because you know the short hair I could put the little horns on.
Yes.
Then I was what was the second one? Oh, Snow White. Me and my girlfriends did Disney princesses.
Yes.
I was Snow White. And then the last one, Levy wanted it to be Zeus, so we did some Greek god goddess and stuff, and you know I pulled it together.
That makes sense now.
Yeah.
Yes, like it was. The streets were lit. You were partying with Diddy.
Oh,
Diddy killed. I think Diddy won Halloween this year.
I give it to him. He was in character.
I was Joker, but he was real Joker.
No, the whole time. Like in character, you was like shit. You know?
Like, can I talk to you? Like,
he was in full character. But honestly, like that spirit is what made it so festive because it was like, damn, okay, you going in, we all going in. You know,
it makes you real. I had someone tell me the other day, they were like, you gotta to celebrate Halloween and be involved with Halloween. You gotta be an adult. Like you gotta really because it takes like Diddy. I think showcase like he went all out. Like he might as well have been Heath Ledger. Like he killed it.
Listen, don't
Promo
be surprised.
Videos,
don't be
pictures.
surprised if you see him as the next Joker. I
support that. Whoever I gotta talk to make that happen. DC holler at me because Diddy killed it. Like,
right, he sure did.
It was amazing. The holidays are coming up, and I know before we started shooting, we were talking a little bit about what you have planned for holidays. You kind of let me know what the holidays. It's holiday season. You got any special plans?
I celebrate my holidays a little different. So I'm from the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Croix to be exact. We always have our festival, our annual festival. We haven't had one since COVID hit. Yes. So, 2 years now, we haven't had one. So everyone's like itching, like
ready to
we
get
got
back
that
in the streets,
festival fever. And so I'll be back home with my family in St. Croix.
Is all your family back there?
Yeah, no, everyone's not back home, but they will be for the festival. My sister and my dad and my mom.
I had a chance to meet your father a couple months ago. He's cool. I know he had a time of his life out here and on the red carpet. He's like cool.
He's still out here.
Yeah, come on, Pop.
Like, I'll stay as long as you keep me.
I know he had a good time.
But no, we will be back.
He said, I must leave you there when I come back.
Right. My dad's been having a great time. You know, he has been named. He has this new nickname. They call him Papa Zeus.
Come on, Papa Zeus.
Right, that part.
He's smooth.
No, he is. And he's loving all the action. He's like, wow, you guys move fast. It's all this, Hollywood energy.
Yes.
So he loves it. Believe it or not, and I'm sure we'll touch on my background a little bit, but my dad and my mom are probably some of the most creative people I know.
Wow.
And they got me into entertainment heavy, just music, film, television. Like, I've just grown up around that energy my whole life, that creative energy. And so my dad had one of the first recording studios back home.
Wow.
And just all the things that I've just kind of been around. He's always had a hand in that. And so he's here. He's like, dang, you living the thing I wanted to do. And so it's incredible. It's incredible to be able to share that with my family. So.
We definitely get into it. And for you guys that don't know, this is a season finale of Live with Lamar. I have host, producer, model, amazing, great, everything. She does it all. You do it all out here from the Zeus Network.
Yes.
This is my good friend, Janeisha John.
Hi.
Of course, I'm your host, Lamar Robinson. And we had to end it off real smooth with someone special. I got to give you my thanks right here on the show. I did it during my interview with Cora on my last episode, but thank you so much. For those of you guys that don't know, she's the reation I had my first red carpet experience and hosting for Zeus and Bobby, I Love You, Pure Rich. We'll get into that crazy stuff later. Red carpet, it was amazing. I got to thank you for the opportunity, for taking a chance to let me be there and alive, which was, I got to tell you something about that experience for me.
Wait, pause though. You killed it. You did your damn thing.
Thank you so much.
I'm so happy you came through last minute and just kind of like owned that carpet. So
yes, it was a lot because I didn't know it was going to be live. In my head, I'm thinking oh, this is like audience, people, but now it was like, this camera's on you and
the fans are watching.
And they're watching the whole time. So
and they're commenting.
Yes, and I'm like, Oh, word? Like, it wasn't until like maybe 5 minutes I was like, oh,
It's real. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so I got there, but once the show started going and everybody's on the carpet, it was fun. All the Zeus talent and all the people that were on there were great, and it was fun. I had an amazing time, so thank you for that.
Up. No problem. Of course.
Hopefully, opens up more doors for me. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Y'all might see me back with Zeus. You never know. Plug thing. But thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So for those that don't know, I gave a little tidbit about your background, and we kind of just touched on it as well. And I mentioned you've done pageants, you've done it all, like you got involved, like you've.
I don't think we have enough time to go into my whole background. It's been some years. I've been doing this thing for a minute.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. I mentioned to you earlier before we started rolling that, next year makes my 10-year mark here in LA. But yes, my background, coming from the Virgin Islands, I had to find really creative ways, like outlets to be able to express whatever artistic things I was feeling inside. I started as a dancer.
Wow.
Yeah, I love being on stage. I was like 4 years old. My mother and father realized like I would wake up in the morning and run in the living room and just do dancing. I just would dance.
So you were TikTok before TikTok was TikTok.
Exactly.
This is the original TikTok.
Mind you, I suck at TikTok. I don't even know how to do a proper TikTok, but that's fine. Please, I see you.
Come on,
with them
you gotta
hips.
move the hips. It's on the
with them hips.
TikTok's a hip thing. You got the hips, you just gotta move them.
I can move the hips. It's the pop, lock, and drop it shit that be just stressing me out. But whatever. No, I started out dancing, and so at a young age, I would be on stage performing. I was very, very competitive, and I would love to dance, love to be on stage. I would want to do all the routines, learn everybody's routine.
Yes.
And, I was very, very into performance. Like dancing was a creative outlet for me. Yeah. From there, that kind of lent into modeling and pageantry.
Yes, you're a former title holder as well.
Yes, I was a former Miss Virgin Islands twice.
Come on, pop your shit.
First to ever do it.
Come on, first and 2 times. Come on, pop your shit.
No, I was I had the honor of representing the U.S. Virgin Islands at both the Miss America and Miss Universe pageants.
Nice.
And those were honestly some of the bigger stepping stones that allowed me to kind of really dive into a career in entertainment. But prior to that, I competed for all sorts of pageants on the island. So people back home, they've seen my glow up. Like they see me from the little bitty pageants to ended up being Miss Virgin Islands twice, and then going off and moving to New York, working for a network out there. Nice. Coming back home, I worked for all the television stations back home.
Nice.
Doing live events. I had a show called Rediscover St. Croix on a PBS network, where I would do all sorts of natural adventurous stuff. I've
using the safari and
crawl into caves. I've done scuba diving. I've hiked.
You've done it all. She's like, I've done it. Bucket list, check.
I've jumped out of planes. You name it.
Jumped out of planes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that ain't nothing.
So what I'm saying is like I've always been really adventurous into hosting. I love my islands. I was able to re-explore all of the Virgin Islands and, just really, really, really fall in love with my islands from that show. But it also helped me to hone my hosting skills. So from there, I kind of went on I had moved to New York. I was hosting for an entertainment network called Tempo that was once affiliated with MTV. They're independent now.
Nice.
And so that's when I started to get into like music and pop culture and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Went back home, worked for the news for the news station for about a year as a reporter. Then I'm giving you like the.
Oh no, you good? No, we getting it. No, we get it. Because I'm like, I told you she do everything.
Version, right?
I'm like, she do everything. She's like, I'm trying to do this, that. Resume long.
It's too long. It's very extensive.
That's good though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so I went back home, worked in news for about a year, and then my best friend was like, you gotta move. So she bought me a one-way ticket to LA for my birthday.
Not a one-way ticket and said...
Sis said, you got till this date to use it.
That's a real friend, though, because she didn't
give
you
no... Shout out to Trinity. I love you.
Shout out to Trinity, because she didn't give you no excuse. She said, here's your one-way ticket. Happy birthday, now leave.
Yeah. So her mom's side of the family's from LA.
Nice.
And so we would come out here for spring breaks, visit some friends and stuff.
Great times.
Yeah. And so, it was just kind of always the end goal. To come out here and really pursue a career in entertainment. Nice. She saw it for me. I always saw it, but I just needed an extra nudge, and she's that friend that really just gave me the nudge to go. So
that is amazing. Like you touched out of everything you've done hosting, you've done pageantry, you've done modeling, you've done reporting, you've done it all. Dancing.
Yeah.
if you had to pick one thing, like, do you have a thing that's just like to your? Do you draw? Shit, you might as well.
I don't draw. I've always kind of had an acting bug. I've done some commercial acting, but I've never really, taken a deep dive into it. Would you like to do
more acting? Would you?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. If the opportunity presents itself and it makes sense. Right now, my schedule is a little crazy for that, but maybe. The network, plans to get into scripted and stuff like that. So you never know.
And you work at the Zeus Network. You work with the Zeus Network. You're helping this amazing, fairly new company that is doing great things. Less than 5 years, and you guys are doing amazing work every Sunday. You're trending, and your talent is out of this world. Everybody's talking about it. Your shows are getting bigger and better, and it's so much. Like, first off, getting involved. How did you even get involved with this? And were you nervous? Like, did you know what to expect? Because I'm pretty sure when you started to where y'all at now.
Oh, it's night and day.
And everything you've seen.
It's night and day.
Night and day. What was that, getting involved with Zeus?
See, there's so much story behind this. So I'm going to try to give you the skinny version.
Absolutely.
But before Zeus was even like a tangible thing, like it was just an idea. So my life partner, my boo,
Come on, boo
Lemuel Plummer, first of all, he's an incredible leader.
He's amazing.
He's the founder and CEO of the network.
Yes.
I was working with him for his production company called L Plummer Media.
Yes.
LPM. And, his background is selling shows. He sold shows to some of the biggest networks. He sold his first show to BET when he was 21. So, he's just been killing it for a while. But we were working for his production company. And, I think he recognized that the climate had changed in terms of selling shows. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, I can't keep doing this, selling shows. And then, the budgets the budgets were starting to get smaller. Like, all this stuff was starting to happen. He was like, yeah, there's no long term in this. So, like, what is my... he's always had dreams of starting a streaming network. He recognized early on that, that was the direction everything was going, especially with Netflix and all that stuff. And so he was like, I'm going to start my own streaming network. It was like, okay. It didn't have a name yet, but we were working on it with some, social media influencers and stuff like that.
What makes Zeus stand apart from other networks?
I do think the leadership has a lot to do with it. Yeah. Lemmy's really incredible because he went to Full Sail. He's a master editor.
Nice.
He can edit the heck out of the show, and you'd be like, well, dang.
Yeah, shit.
So if he wanted to, luckily we have an amazing team that, that puts the stuff out, and so he doesn't have to. But back then, if need be, that's whatever to get the job done, right? And so I've learned so much from him. He's definitely taught me a lot about just behind the scenes. Because when you're in front of the camera, it's different, right? And when you do learn all it takes to be able to produce that content, then you're able to have a better appreciation of it. You have a better understanding. You operate differently because you're just aware, you know? So we're setting up and I'm looking at the lights. I'm like, okay, it's a different process, but that it lends into each other, and you're able to, just fine tune things that you might not notice if you were just talent. You know what I mean? It's important to understand both
behind the scenes, because I took classes with that, and it's like for instance, I remember when I had a production class, and it made me start watching the Grammys different. It's like all the moving pieces, like camera changing, the camera cuts, and this button, like one fuck up, that person probably lost their job. Like, why did you weren't supposed to do that? Like, why am I? This is not what I told you. Camera one, camera two, cut, and you have to pay attention. You have to be very into it. So you can't even watch TV the same when behind the scenes, because you're like, you know the smoke and mirrors. You know the smokes and mirrors of what is going on. You're like, I already know what the fuck is going on with this. Like, that was just a camera cut. That was some good ass editing right there. That ain't what that person said. We cut that out. And so it's good to know. And like with him being a master editor, as you mentioned, it allows him to know how he wants his promo and trailer, because that's so important. So he knows it's great.
Top to bottom. Literally, if you're able to, as just a leader, be able to tap in with every single part of the production, and that's powerful, and so I think too that inspires the team. Everyone sees it and they're learning. They're like, well, dang, if our boss can do all of this, we got to keep up. We got to be able to do it too, So I'm just really honored. We have a solid team. It feels like family when we go to work.
I'm glad you said family, because one thing I know is, and I think it's because I was going to ask you your favorite thing about the network, but I almost want to guarantee or guess that it's probably the family element of it, because it's like everybody's like a family. It's like I see, whether it's BTS, of y'all meeting in the office with Jocelyn and happy birthday. Like send her some amazing flowers I seen for her birthday, and like it's always like such a family element. I've been to the office before, and it's just like such a family culture. You're laughing, you're joking, you're handling business, but it just feels like everyone is like just loves each other, and I think that helps.
I'll tell you why I love it. I love the family dynamic of it so much. So my background, and you know, I know we're bouncing back and forth, but
you're good. Yeah.
My parents were always entrepreneurs. 30 plus years. They had a family-owned bakery restaurant business.
Nice.
My dad, I told you, he had a recording studio. Yes. So we had, and they would put on like big shows, reggae fests. They would bring down artists, but everything was family. Like we were working with my grandma, my mom was like my mom and my dad were literally like, you know, the little team duo back in the day. So I grew up watching that, you know what I mean? Me and my sisters, our first job was working in my parents' bakery, you know, all of that. And so I grew up around business. I went to school for business and marketing.
Nice.
Shout out to University of Virgin Islands. Go Bucks.
Come on, go
HBCU, you know.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
University of the Virgin Islands is an HBCU.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Knew it. Never even knew that. Boom, boom, boom. That's a mouthful right at the handle.
Come
on, HBCU, Greg. Come on.
That's right.
Yes.
And so I grew up around business my whole life. I always knew I was going to get into some form of business. I will also add that I was very much a nerd in school, right?
Really?
Yes, super nerd. The top of my class always. I was class president.
I was too.
I was in a band.
I was class president, yes. My class reunion is coming up in like 2 weeks. Okay. I had to plan it, so yeah.
Oh, I had to plan mine a few. I won't tell you my age.
We ain't gonna tell you age. It's all good, but mine's coming up.
But class pres, I was captain of the dance squad. I was in band, student government, just very involved. Student government
as well, yep.
With the arts, but also the scholastic part of it was very important for me.
Yeah.
And so my dad actually wanted me to get into politics. When I was at a young age, I'm gonna be the first Black female president of the United States. Yeah, far from that.
Right.
But, you know. Right. But I think for me, it was like just being really knowledgeable and in tune with, you know, academia was important for me growing up. My parents made sure that we took education very seriously.
I believe it.
But what I love about my parents too, they were very, very much into the arts, right? And so they were also understanding of that passion for the arts, you know, whether it be dance and performing, you know, television, film, all of that stuff. And so I don't know where I'm going with this. I lost track of where I was, but I grew up around business and I grew up around family business. And so, you know, seeing my mom and my dad like just putting in crazy hours, feeding the community and like making sure that everybody was good and, you know, sponsoring this and, you know, showing love to the community, but also just making sure that we all understood how important it was to have like just that family dynamic, that community dynamic, right?
Community is important.
It's so important, especially coming from a small island where everybody knows I know everybody back home. Yes. I go home and like everybody knows me and my family, you know? So I say that to say that's why I enjoy going to work at Zeus so much.
Because it's part of your family. It's your values. That's something very important to you. So it's like it's
so familiar, right? And so like there's a different, I feel like people, finding good help is important. I mean, it's hard and it's important, right?
Yeah.
But it's very, very hard. And I feel like people, when they have a personal attachment to something, it means that much more to them. So they put in that work ethic. You know what I mean? Like they put in that hard work because now this is a part of them as well.
Yes.
And so, yeah, showing up to Zeus every day, a lot of us do feel like family. We do have a deeper attachment to the brand and to the network. And so I think that shows in, you know, just the work. Because, like, we put in them hours.
And Zeus is doing big.
We're doing
Subscribe
really
to the
well.
network.
Yes.
It's not a little piece of change out of your pocket, whatever. It's a great network to subscribe to. I pay. I'm a happy subscriber.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
I enjoy it, you know what I mean? But you guys obviously are doing amazing. The numbers are, like I said, are climbing. Every week you're trending. I know the Baddies South Reunion had tons of viewership, millions. It went crazy.
52 million we had announced, and like overall views. Yeah, we're like almost halfway to 1 billion in terms of the amount of tags and views we've had on TikTok. Yeah, it's crazy.
Shouts up to Baddies, because Baddies is doing it.
Shout out to all the EPs and Natalie Nunn. You know, she
Natalie Nunn,
she definitely brought that project over, and
she's like every show. She's on there. She's working.
She is a workhorse. I love that about her. You know, we all share that energy where it's like we be working, and so she's a workhorse. She's a great producer, executive producer, and you know, she's definitely carried that brand for a long time. And so for to be able to see her in her boss bag now, just kind of doing her thing. Not just her. You know, obviously Jocelyn and all the other EPs at the network.
Yes.
Like. They have the ability to really have some ownership in their stuff, you know what I mean? And that is something that was unique about Zeus, that a lot of the networks just, you know, they haven't been able to do that with their talent. And so to be able to go someplace and be a part of the creative process and be a boss.
Cheers to Zeus, cheers to Natalie, cheers to everything.
Right. Take it easy on this ticket.
No, we good. That's good. You know, I mean, you said I've been based. I mean, come on, just. You said the curve, you said the T word, and I want to dive into that because that's a very word. Just go ahead and say it.
I have such an amazing tribe. Let me tell you about this tribe of mine, right? My family, I grew up, okay, so something about me that I recognize in these past few months is like, I'm very private, right? I'm very social and public, but I'm very private, right? And I've been that way my whole life, right? Where I grew up in the Virgin Islands.
Even being so like on stage type of person.
Let me explain it to you, right? So where I grew up in the Virgin Islands, we didn't have neighbors, right? So we had our family business. We lived right behind the business, but it was a private property. It was just me and my family. No neighbors, right? And so my best friends, my hangout buddies, my confidants, my everything were my sisters and my mother and my father, right? That's how I grew up in the Virgin Islands. And so and you'll see, like, if you ever go to St. Croix, you see
I'm going.
Bush everywhere.
You already invited me. You invited me early. I'm coming. No, it's over.
Come on down.
I'm coming. Just let me.
There's bush everywhere. So we literally grew up with no neighbors. It was just bush, right? Like
that's kind of lit.
Yeah, no, it was totally lit. You know,
no complaints there.
Until you're bored or you and your sisters are beefing, y'all.
Then that's different.
Right. But no, I grew up just very private. But when we would go out to the business, which is right down the street, or go out to school, go out to events or whatever, it's like social butterflies, right? Just out here, everybody knows us. We love to engage, love to turn up, love to have fun. But the behind that, like the home part of it, nobody knows what my home dynamic was. And like, there's so much stories that we're not gonna get into it today. But
we're gonna bring her back.
One day when I do tell my full story, people are gonna be really surprised.
Whenever you get ready to tell your full story, can you let me be your Oprah?
Okay, Oprah.
let me be your Oprah. Let me be the person to get the full behind the scenes exclusive. The whole 2020. Let me be her for you. Let me put it out there.
We'll figure it out, right? For sure. But with that, you know, being here in LA, I've learned that my layer of protection is having, you know, just that social part of me that's out here. But when I'm home, I'm very much like to myself, very private. I don't really like people in my personal space. And like, I'm just very protective of that. But my tribe though, right? Let's get back to the T word.
T word, yes.
My tribe, like trials, tribulations, just ups, downs, crazy. Because you know, when you're here in LA, it's that roller coaster, right? Everybody goes through it. You have them crazy highs where you're like, shit, living in my purpose. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Then you get them super lows where you want to pack every shit up and go back home, right? And I've had multiple times where I felt like that. My tribe refused to let me come back home. They're like,
they bought
you can come visit,
they gave you
but bitch, you're going back, right? You can come visit, but no, you don't get to throw in the towel, right?
Yes.
And so like my best friends, like, you know, Trinity, CEO, my sisters Janela and Jojo, my brother Jermaine, like my mom, my dad.
Your real life outside of this crazy LA life, because LA is LA and it's always gonna be there. But you know, I've learned, and you're a huge supporter of our, you know, I work with Brian, and you've been at many of our block parties.
I be at the BN block party.
And Brian taught me about tribe and how important it is, because like, and like people you see back here, that's my tribe. Them boys back
there. Y'all go way back.
We go way back, and it's like when you get away from the craziness, like being on the scene and being in the set and like lights, camera, action. You know, sometimes you just want to like go home and just like not have to think about work, production, pictures, fan, carpets, all this shit that comes. Like, you just want to like be a normal person. We're still normal people, but all the time when you get involved with the fame, people forget that. And now it's like,
you gotta be perfect.
I want to just sit in bed and eat popcorn and watch the new Halloween Ends movie and just mind my business.
You best believe that happens. You gotta
it.
prioritize that time for yourself, right? Because if not, like, mental health is really serious, right? And I think like sometimes we all go through our emotions where we're feeling what we're feeling, and sometimes we pretend like we're okay when you're not okay, but it's okay to not be okay, right?
I learned that. I learned that a couple months ago.
And I learned that probably the most during COVID, right? It was like, I'm feeling all this feeling, like, what am I feeling? And I'm like, we have all this downtime and you just really have no choice but to sit there with yourself and identify what it is that I'm feeling, like what it is that you're feeling, right? And so for me, like being home in my space and stuff like that, that's where I decompress. Whenever I'm feeling kind of like just wonky and crazy, like my tribe literally steps in to like hear me out. I'll keep them on the phone for hours.
Right.
I'll share how I'm feeling, what I'm going through, all of it. They're very motivational. They're very supportive. They love me regardless if this shit works out or if it don't. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that absolute end of the day, if this Hollywood dream didn't work out for me, I have the safest place to go back home to. My family, my friends that love me unconditionally. I have a community back home that supports me. Like, they don't, like, I don't have to prove anything to anybody because I've already done so much for them to be proud of, right?
Yeah.
And they show me love and they show up for me in ways that I can't even, explain. And just, I will also say this, I have a tribe here too, right? So some of my best friends, Andreas, Sunny, some of my girlfriends, Ebony, Joya, I'm just throwing out these names, like these Essence, all of y'all, like Ninja, all of y'all, like they show up for me out here. And so, when I'm not with my family and friends and the people that hold me down back home, they're here showing me like you're safe here too. You have that haven here as well. And we get it if you got to go back home for a month or two and just decompress. Come back here,
we got you.
But we got you when you're
come
here.
Back here because you need a breakaway, and you gotta. And you mentioned the whole statement of it's okay to not be okay.
Right.
So a lot of people, when it comes to the mental health and it's talking about depression, this and people like it's like I can be like Janeisha, I'm not okay, and I mean that doesn't mean anything's wrong or or I'm gonna take it far left. It may just I just need some time to recognize I'm not okay. Give me some time to be sad.
Absolutely.
Right. Let me get some time to take a bubble bath and eat some chocolate and whatever and lie drunk and it be okay.
Right. Binge watch some TV.
And just not be okay in that moment because you know on the other side that I'm gonna be okay, but right now I'm not okay. So let me not sulk in, but let me process
Let's have a moment.
Let me have a moment.
You can have a moment.
Let me figure
we
out
all
the
deserve
feeling.
a moment.
Yes.
And life isn't easy. This adulting shit is not easy.
I turned 29 this week, and by the time they see this episode, I'll be 29 already, and then 30 next year, and I've been going through the motions of figuring out what that looks like for me, and then it's like, oh my God, like, nigga, you getting older.
Listen,
next decade.
It's okay to get older.
I mean, absolutely.
We look good.
Look at this.
but I will say that yes.
That's my Will Smith.
I'll take it. I will say that it is important to understand that you're not gonna have good days all day. It's just not. That's not realistic.
That's not realistic.
Right? It's not realistic. You're not gonna be perfect. You're not always gonna be fine. And yes, it's okay to take moments for yourself. Like it's important to take time for yourself
and get away.
Because if not, you're gonna give so much of yourself. You have nothing left for yourself, right? So, taking a beat and just processing what you're feeling and going through, talking to the people that love you and support you, and just like recognizing also that you have to show up for them when they need you the same way you need them. That's also important too, you know what I mean? And so sometimes you gotta G-check yourself and like, okay, my friend needs me and I haven't really been there. Let me show up for them the way they show up for me.
Also, with that being said too, with your tribe, them being able to give you room for when you're not able, for a lot of people, you always shut up and being there and you're one call away, and it's like, I'm sorry, I know.
I can't be here right now.
I know our executive producer and Nas meeting our girl, she went through something and I remember she posted on her story, and I hope she don't mind me sharing it, but she's just like, I appreciate, to my tribe, I'm sorry I can't be there for y'all now like y'all need me to, because I need a moment. Which we know Cora shows up for me all the time. She shows up for a lot of us, and she's always there, and she's shooting everybody's calling her like, we need you to shoot this, shoot that. She's like, I appreciate the money. I'm
but
good.
Guys, I can't.
But I can't right now. And I hope y'all can give me grace to understand, like, I need a moment. And when you said it made me think of, because I remember she recently posted, like, I just need a moment.
And you got to respect that.
And you got to respect that. Your real tribe is going to respect that. They're not going to beat you.
And that's when you recognize who your real tribe is, right? Because the people that it's interesting, right? One of my best friends back home always said, like, when you can have awkward silence with somebody, that's a lifelong friend, right? But also somebody that you could probably not talk to for a long period of time, but when you guys pick up, it's like you guys never miss the beat. That's how it should be. You shouldn't feel those pressures of having to like constantly just like give of yourself if you're not able to give, right? And so real friends understand that, they respect that. They'll also reciprocate that to you, right? If they can give, they'll give, and if they can't, they won't, right? And you guys just have an understanding and a love that's unconditional. It doesn't come with terms. You just respect each other's space and, you know, what you're going through, and that's just what it is. And so, you know, I've been really, really, really blessed, because like when there were moments where I wanted to give up on myself, when there were moments where I just wanted to throw in the towel and just kind of like give up on all this Hollywood shit, because it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. Like living out here and thriving is like
a fucking lot.
Listen, it comes with so much bullshit behind of it, right? And it's like most people can't endure it. Most people leave. I'm about to make 10 years next year, and I'm so
as you should
that I'm here still standing and thriving in all of that. So yeah,
this is a lot. And like like I said, I want to be here for 2 years coming up, and like I feel it, and I know you feel a different level than I feel it, and I get it, and I understand it, I should say, of just like what it like feel like, because it's a lot, because you gotta be on this scene and be there, and sometimes you may not even want to be like, oh.
Yeah,
but it's like shit together. Like, okay, hair, makeup, outfit, what I'm wearing, getting this high smile, take a bunch of pictures. Beautiful smile, by the way. And like you're always having the smile. And you're like, you just don't want to sometimes. And it's like LA and the scene and entertainment and life makes you have to, because you have to. But
you gotta
one day when I get like
up.
Rihanna and Beyonce, I ain't got to do nothing because I don't want to.
But even then, there are moments where they don't want to show up, but that they have to, right? And they're so graceful doing it too. Like you see them and you're like, dang, okay. Like you're able to just navigate. Everybody wants something from you. Everybody's calling.
So we want an album, Rihanna.
Oh, she gonna drop it soon.
Drop that fucking album,
what's going on,
Riri?
bad girl, Riri? You better drop that album. I've been waiting, girl. Let's go. I love me some Rihanna. She's an island girl representative for the Caribbean women, Caribbean people, just period, right? And so, you know, I just love who she is and what she represents. And so I met her once at, what was it? The Rock Nation brunch. I went with a good friend of mine. Shout out to Elijah. And yeah, she saw me and, you know, I wanted a picture because I just love her. And she was like, you a bad bitch.
And he's like, bitch, you bad.
I was like, shit.
Come on, Island Queens, Island theme.
Right. So we took a picture. She probably will never remember this, but that definitely resonated with me and stayed with me.
Cause like that's like y'all like the same person, two different islands.
Right.
Like, yes.
We represented for the Caribbean, and you know, coming from such a small place, like being a small island girl with big city dreams, and
I
just
love when
like
your accent comes out.
Oh, you can hear it. It's thick. It's thick right now.
It's amazing.
It's thick right now. Okay. But no, just being a small island girl with big city dreams and like actually living out those dreams is like means a lot.
Yeah.
To you personally, but just also to your community. Like my people are so proud of me. I love them. I love the Virgin Islands. They ride for me. One of these trolls was trying to talk shit about me online, posting my face next to
and
like,
guess what? Like the Beehive, they came and
them VI people did not play with. They pepper that girl.
Come on.
So sorry for her. They came for her, and I was like, that's right. You mess with one, you mess with
all of us. Come on.
Period. You know, right. So the love is real home, and like you know, we've been talking about it, but I'm really excited to go home for festival this year, and just I'm hoping to bring home some friends with me, you know, from the network and just in the industry, so that they can experience my culture and just really get a firm understanding as to why I am the way I am and who I am. You know what I mean? Like, I think anybody who comes to the Virgin Islands gets a real taste of just a little more about me and like just who I am personally, and you know why I move the way I move and why I act the way I act out here in LA. So
so we mentioned, you know, and you know, you're being out here, you're from the Virgin Islands, and you know, in America, you're in LA, one of the Americanized areas or whatever the case may be.
Big city. But
like you're also a very strong woman. And out here, what has it been like being this strong top? Is it for our network? You know what I mean? Being a woman in the industry, and women are killing the game in every way, shape, and form, and things like that. What has that transition, that impact of just women that look like you, women from your background, like a Rihanna, and just you holding it down for the Zeus Network and everything that comes with it? Like, what has that been like for you?
You know, they always say like with great success, there's a great responsibility that comes with that, and so you know, my history in pageantry and just understanding that when you are a representative or an ambassador for where you're from, you have certain responsibilities, and it could be heavy sometimes. You know, it takes a lot to be able sometimes to just relieve yourself of some of that responsibility, but it's empowering to know that you're, one of those people that has impact or, influence, whether it be from your small island or throughout the Caribbean. But for me, I have a lot of young women back home in my DMs and watching me and trying to emulate and trying to do the same thing, and they seek advice. And so for me, it's an honor first and foremost, but it's also, it's a blessing, and it's an opportunity to really show other young women from the Caribbean especially that you can do this. You can literally do anything you put your mind to. You can do it graciously and like classy too. I try my hardest. Don't get it twisted. You gotta.
She get ratchet.
Listen.
Yeah, she gonna turn up when it's time to pop it.
I am from Frederiksted to St. Croix, the west side of the island. Okay, don't get it twisted. I'm a West girl,
but
right?
I can keep it classy and cute.
But I also recognize that you have to keep it cute and keep it polished. And also represent yourself and your people in the best light possible. You're not gonna always get it right. And so for me, just being able to represent a group of people and to show women from back home, that there's all these possibilities. I still have a long way to go, but I'm very, very proud of my journey thus far. And I feel like I have influenced a lot of women back home, young women back home. And so I hope to continue to teach and be an inspiration and recognize that those responsibilities, they're important. And you have these obligations to some degree, because again, with great success comes great responsibility, and you always have to give back in some shape or form, whether it be your time or physically something tangible, but being able to gift that back to people who want to be in your shoes one day, that's a blessing. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing to be able to say that someone's looking up to you and you're able to teach something. You know what I mean? And so I don't take that for granted. I do plan to do more for the young, beautiful people of the Virgin Islands.
Come on, we I just should got a flag and put it on the TV and had it ready. Put it there, right there, cool. Put it on the TV right there, boom.
Right, but I think just overall, separate from the Caribbean, just being a black woman in this industry. I'm also, my mom is from Puerto Rico, so I do have a Boricua side of me. And so, just being able to represent that in this industry where now it's a little more prevalent because women are
y'all been killing shit left and right. And I actually had a difficult conversation. That's a term right there. Difficult conversation with one of my best friends the other day, and she's a manager of us in HR. And so she came to us the other day and she was like, "Hey, I'm having an issue with one of my recruiters." And she was like, "I thought he doesn't respect me because I'm a woman."
Yeah.
And so and I was like, "It's interesting because I had issues when I was trying to," and so it was perfect. And so I was like, "Why do you feel that way?" And so we were talking about it and those things, and what has your experience been like with it, if any, or what's your thoughts on that? Because I'm pretty sure you run things where it's either I'm being treated or talked to because I'm a woman, or where you kind of present your way because you are a woman. And I was talked to Brian about it. He pretty much like, "Hey, bro, at the end of the day, black women have to, because of XYZ, no matter how you want it, right or wrong, whatever XYZ is what it is, it's the facts."
Right.
When they're in a certain room, they kind of have to, because otherwise they're not taken seriously in those manners.
That's real. Not taken serious. So real. And for me specifically, because I can only really speak on my experiences. Right. I come from a pageant background, and being a pageant girl, people don't take you serious.
You're pretty, you're not smart.
You're a pretty girl, you're not smart, right?
Yeah.
You're whatever, yes. Right? And so, for me, it's just a matter of speaking. I've always been very outspoken, and so I'm not afraid to tell you how I feel. Yeah. And I would say it in my accent if I really feel like
getting there. That's how I know y'all for real. When that accent comes out and it really every word is accent, you mean that shit.
All right. So I've had to sometimes just be in really uncomfortable situations where if I'm uncomfortable and I have to call you out, now we're both uncomfortable, but at least you understand where I'm coming from. It's not a good feeling, but you just sometimes got to do what you got to do. And so for me, I'm one of the few female execs at the network. And so sometimes it is being that person in the room that might just be the opposition from what everybody else is saying, because I am coming from a different point of view, right? Yeah. I'm coming from a black woman's perspective, right? And so sometimes, those conversations can be uncomfortable because it's I don't see this, this isn't, you know what I mean? And so those conversations happen. And, luckily for me, I do work in, again, that family environment. So it's a little different. I've been blessed in the sense that I can have those conversations and it not me not necessarily feel like my livelihood is going to be threatened, if that makes sense. Unfortunately, a lot of women go through that where they feel like if I speak up, I might risk losing a very good opportunity or a job. My thing is, it's like if it's something that you're not comfortable at and you don't feel like it's serving you, and if you speak up, then you're risking losing it, then maybe it's just not for you. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
But I do think speaking your mind and not holding on to that stuff is important. And I do encourage women who are going through uncomfortable to stand firm.
I totally get it. You know what I mean? When it comes to black, and I'll continue to learn the struggles that I may not face, that other people may face, especially black women in the industry, and especially being this exec in these big powerhouses. And another thing, you know, I do want to, we touch a little bit on Zeus, and I want to dial back because I feel like Zeus kind of gets some bad rep sometimes because people think it's the ratchet network. Yeah. What is that like dealing with like the negative that you or in your network may experience?
So for me personally, because I'm there and I see the ins and outs, and I think a lot of people, you know, they automatically have these perceptions about reality TV. They think most of it is produced and so on and so forth. Our reality TV is literally like the cameras just be following this stuff, right? And so sometimes we are going through it like, what just happened, right? And so we're just as shocked in the moment as, you know, our fans are when they see it on television. And so we do try to keep everything raw, real, and authentic.
You be in the thick of all the chaos.
Trying to stop it.
They'd be like, sit down, Krishan.
I'll be trying to listen. Because the difference for me, and I think a lot of people are always asking, why is she always hosting the reunions? Well, one, I do produce on the shows, right? So I do have a different relationship with the cast members.
I do love
actually know them. I'm part of the, you know, the casting process, and I get to see them and be around them for the most part. And so I know the ins and outs of all of the shows, right? All of it. So I know all the storylines. I know everything that's going on, and so it's easier to navigate when you have someone who's kind of coming in fresh. Just may have just watched it on television. They don't really know most of the behind the scenes things that may have happened. So I have a little more insight, right? And so that's important to be able to at least try to navigate the story, because our stories never take a certain path. It's like chaos, right? And then we're trying to find the story within the chaos, right?
Correct.
Right. And so it's important to have somebody who can navigate and find the direction.
It's all the above.
Right.
You're the perfect
person who I know where to take it when it goes direction. So with that being said, I do think a lot of people who have very strong opinions may not even necessarily watch Zeus. I think they see the highlight reels on the blogs
and everything.
And the whole point of the highlight reels on the blog is to get your attention to come on in and watch the thing, right?
Hooked you. Come on.
Right, now come on in and watch it, right? But when you do watch it from top to bottom, you know, sometimes we do get results, and you see levity, you see the drama, you see heart, you see all of it, right? The beauty of Zeus is because we were so raw and uncensored, the difference between us and a traditional network is the traditional networks had to appease to advertisers, right? And so they had to dial back, they had to censor, they had to do all that stuff. But we are a closed platform that you just like you would a HBO or you would I don't know if you guys, but for me growing up, I would always, you know, my parents had HBO, so I would catch the little sexy
Not
movies.
You over here got the sex scenes on,
you know,
on previous channels.
Right.
I know.
Right. So it's like, if you're paying for a service that's a closed platform, we don't have to restrict our stuff. We don't have to censor it. But at the end of the day, the goal and the trajectory of where Zeus is going, it's going to be a little bit of everything.
I know Blueface Krishan have a show that's coming out eventually. And I feel like that's going to show us a different light.
People are going to be a little surprised because people think it's just that we're shining a light on, you know, certain matters, but that's not what it is. I do think that we're trying to show a different side.
Right.
I do think people just have to wait to see, you know? I think I will speak on Krishan specifically because, you know, she was part of Baddies West. Baddies South.
Yep.
And, you know, when this comes out, you guys will see that she's also part of Baddies West, which is our next season. Spoiler, don't share that with anybody till the show comes out.
Boom, I'm ready.
But she specifically, just seeing her growth and our fans just love her. And, you know, we're able to shine a light on her that, you know, hasn't been done before. She's able to go to be in certain rooms and, you know, experience certain things. And, you know, she is a natural star. Like she can captivate people just by being her, you know what I mean? And so to be a part of that storytelling and just show her and a little more of her story, a little more of the depth that comes with her, I think people are going to appreciate it.
I always do a final question with all of my guests.
Okay.
And because I know you had a conversation and you talk so much about your life and the islands and VI and just you, family, and etc. And it's like everything. I guess I am a part of this and I am Zeus, but I'm also Janeisha John.
Yeah.
And I want to know, what would you tell a younger Janeisha right now?
Ooh, let me think about it for a
if you had talked to her right now and tell her X years later.
Honestly, I would have told Janeisha to leap sooner. A lot of people don't know, like, to try to really get out in the industry. I would like Google stuff, find auditions. I've flown myself. Like, I would work. I had a part-time job. I had 2 part-time jobs. I was working for the TV station at home, and I was working for AT&T at the time.
Nice.
And I would save my coins, fly myself out to go to auditions, to meet with scouts, to meet with agents. Like, I was constantly on the internet trying to find and ways to break into the industry. And coming from a small island like the Virgin Islands, those resources and those opportunities are very, very, very limited.
Yeah.
And so for me, you know, if I'd taken the leap to maybe come to the States a little sooner, or come to one of these big cities to really pursue what I would, you know, what I'm doing currently, I probably would have been been further along a lot sooner.
Yeah.
And I don't have regrets. I think everything happens the way it's supposed to when you are. But if you're asking what I would tell myself, my younger self, is like, take those risks sooner. You know, take that leap of faith sooner. Like, you're built for this. You're meant for this. You know what I mean? I do think, though, maybe for me it was important to build that sort of resume back home to be able to prepare myself for out here. But now that I'm in it, I do think that, you know, maybe if I had taken the leap a little sooner, things would have, you know, transpired a little sooner. I don't know. Yeah. But beyond that, no, I'm very proud of the decisions I've made as a woman. Yeah. Young Janeisha was still very calculated, and like, I think she was dope, honestly.
That was fuck.
She was very, very sure of herself, very, very, I've always been very confident in who I am as a person, and even if I'm not feeling confident, you'll never know, because I will always show that confidence, you know what I mean? I've always been adventurous, I've always been really like outgoing and just ready to tackle opportunity, a workhorse, and so I'm proud of the decisions I've made. I'm proud of the things I've accomplished. I'm proud of, you know, just where I'm at in life currently, and I know that there's so much more for my story and my legacy, and I just hope to continue to make the people that I love the most proud. I hope to make my community proud, and I will say to young women back home in the Virgin Islands, and just young women in general who want to pursue the things that I am currently doing, you know, just be yourself. I would say, and it sounds cliche, but being yourself, like staying true to who you are, is very important in this industry, because you can easily get jaded. You can easily lose yourself, you know? And so I think identifying who that tribe is, that support system, is very important. But even if you don't have that, just staying true to your beliefs and your morals and your core values is so important, to not lose yourself in the process. And I think once you do that and you stay true to that, you'll be okay. One thing I do want to leave you with is my quote, and I've had this quote since my first real big pageant.
Come on, pageant.
It is, with determination, perseverance, and a heart of gold, always believe you can and will achieve. And let me break it down, okay? Perseverance, with determination, perseverance, you to be determined and to stick to your guns and keep pushing no matter what obstacle comes your way is important, right? If you do that while maintaining a pure heart, right? Like, your intentions are good, you're a good person, you do well to others, they do well to you, you don't cut corners, you're not grimy, none of that, right? You have those elements, that's a recipe for success. And I say that to say, like, when that success comes, it may take longer, like I said earlier, but when that success comes, you'll feel good about it, and you really, really like stand in, how to say it, like a positive light. It's positive, it's pure, it's authentic to who you are. You've been determined, you put in the work, you persevere regardless of what the obstacles may be, and you did it with a pure, clean heart. Like, at the end of the day, you'll be able to say that you're proud of who you are. And so, yeah, that's all I want to leave you guys with.
I love that. You can do bars, like bars, snap.
I feel like I'm a little all over the place, but I do hope you guys got the message.
It's flow way, listen. And I can say that, you know, this interview definitely went a different way than I intended, but but in a good way.
Okay.
Because of like how I had it, but then it was like I feel like I got to learn more about you as we were talking and what you're passionate about, and so the things I was what I know you, but I don't know you, and so it gave me a chance to really know. And I was like, okay, so now if I had knew certain things, it would have been structured differently. So I'm glad how the narrative was created because I like the way the interview went, especially for my season finale. I think it's great, it's phenomenal. I think my viewers are leaving with such a high note and so much things. I hope our women are inspired, and you're an amazing person. I know they're inspired.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to have had you as my final guest.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see what you do moving forward. I'm excited to see what Zeus does moving forward and everything that you guys are continuing to do. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm really proud of you and all that you're doing. I think this is important that you are, you know, you've created your own platform, you know, something that is true to who you are, shining a light on people that, you know, you are bumping into and rubbing elbows and learning from. Teaching as well. I do think it is important. I admire what you're doing, and I'm very proud of you. I think just overall for me, I do think a lot of people do not know my story. I think this next year that's coming up, they'll be able to see a lot more of just Janeisha.
Come on.
Separate from the Zeus brand, but also I've obviously engaged with the Zeus brand. But just
but still,
me as an individual, I do have so much going on personally. I have a wealth of just history that one day when I do actually break it down and tell the story, and maybe we'll have that Oprah moment.
I'm Oprah.
I do think a lot of people will be, to your point, you know, very kind of surprised as to what they learn and, you know, what they take from it. And I just hope that my story, you know, will inspire and continue.
We got to bring you back.
Yeah, let's bring you back.
Bring back next year and you tell us about some other things and then who you are. But guys, I just gotta say thank you so much for tuning into season 3 of Live with Lamar. It's been amazing. I've had some phenomenal guests. Everybody has done. I'm excited for this next season, this next chapter, what it's gonna bring. It is holiday season, so I guess it's what a cliche thing we say. Happy holidays!
Happy holidays to
everybody.
Turn
up, you know, eat your turkey. My family having a fish fry this year for Thanksgiving and things like that.
I love it.
And it's all these, just gonna mix and match and do something different. But I'm honored. This is the first season. Well, the second season out here in LA, and I know it's gonna be bigger and better with all my guests and my production team and everyone in the fans and supporters that are doing what we gotta do. So thank y'all. Live with Lamar. We here. Now it's been great. I can get a break. We talk about mental. This is my break now.
This is your break.
This is my break. We gonna turn up until next year. I'll see y'all next year. Fish Fry Festival.
You name
I'm going to Virgin Islands. I don't even know. It's probably tickets probably $100. I don't even know what I'm doing.
They up there.
I'm on Zeus's tab. I'm going to Virgin Islands. This is what we doing. But thank you, Janeisha.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Live with Lamar. We out. We'll see you next year.
Peace.
Bye.
I'm gonna make you